Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dave Vila. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views broadcast by Access Report County on Public Access TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, and national topics and issues of interest to Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions and the views are the responsibility of those making the comments and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its co-producers. We will adhere to broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied. Any unauthorized use of the accounts, descriptions, and events of this program without the express written consent of Larry Curly or Schmo is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program, the discussion, and the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, take a new attitude. Take a new attitude. Bob, you got anything to say about that topic?
Yeah, he's got
I'm going to start out with early voting.
Oh, yeah, I've already did that.
So did I. To make sure we get that in, because that is something that is very important. People need to know that it's available. They opened 2 more spots for early voting in LaPorte County. Now that totals out to 4, and I'm going to run through where the 4 are. Number 1, LaPorte, and it's at the county fairgrounds. Number 2, Michigan City, and it's at 8th and Wabash. Number 3, one of the new ones, is in Wanata. It's at the Wanata City Hall, Town Hall, whatever you want to call it. And number 4 is in Rolling Prairie, and that's at the Township Hall. Now, the times for these, all are on the same time. 8 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, on Mondays and Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. On Wednesdays, they are open 10 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night. So, very easy to get in. You can go into any one of these and vote, regardless of where you live, as long as you're registered to vote in LaPorte County. Take advantage of it. Now, when you get there, you're going to need a government-issued ID. Generally, the driver's license, but make sure it's valid, that it hasn't expired, will stand for that. It has your picture on it, and it has the information that the clerks will need. In addition to that, you can also use a passport that's valid. It's still in existence. It hasn't expired. And number 3, you can use an ID that's been issued by the license branch, but is not a driver's license. Now, there are 2 other possibilities out there. Do not rely on these. One is a student ID from an Indiana state school, not from a private school, but from an Indiana state school. The legislature passed a law not allowing these to happen, but a judge held that in abeyance. So I'm not quite sure where that stands in terms of the law, but I would not depend on that. You need to bring a regular ID. Now, the other one is something that both Dave and I have. It's a VA photograph and a description of you. It stands for the Veterans Administration. They issue these. That is also valid, but when I had them check it, when I went in for early voting, their primary list of identifications, it was not on there. So we checked the second list, which is a secondary listing. It was on the secondary listing. So if you're totally dependent on that, ask them to use the secondary listing because it's not on the primary listing. But make sure you go and vote. And the election is going to be on May the 5th. It's the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Generally, the polls are going to be open from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night. So if all else, you don't get down to vote early. If you vote on election day, that's when you have to get to the polls. Again, bring your ID. Now, I like to start out programs with good news. This is really, really good news. What originally started out to be a $300 million data center in the 6th Ward has now turned into an $830 million data center owned by Google. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about who Google is. But when Dave says take a new attitude, this is a company that's going to bring in here a totally new attitude, up to date, as far as you can get technologically, and it is probably one of the top 10 businesses in the United States. It is a fantastic company. So let me talk a little bit about what this facility will be. Number 1, Google, which will own the facility, is what's known as an LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. Now, when you look at the descriptions that you go on various accounts and ask for Google, you're going to find out that what they're going to tell you is it is an American multinational technology company specializing in, get this, number one, internet relation services, which includes searches online, advertising, cloud compiling software, and cloud compiling hardware. It is now, Google itself is an LLC, limited liability corporation. It is not a public corporation, but it is owned by Alphabet Incorporated, which is a public corporation. Its core businesses, Google search, YouTube, which we're on, Android, and Android itself is a mobile operating system. In addition to that, it also owns Chrome, and some people have heard of Chromebooks, but it is a Chrome web browser. This is a huge situation in terms of the latest up-to-date technology. It also owns Gmail, and my wife, we have the same Gmail address, skrpollock@gmail.com. It is an email address on the internet system. It also owns Google Maps and Google Drive. When you look at their mission, this is one that's really fantastic. Their idea of their business is to organize the world's, let me undersize that, the world's information and market universality to be accessible and useful. So as a result of that, we've got a corporation that will be a huge positive influence on Michigan City and pay a very significant amount of taxes for quite some time. Now, what is Alphabet? Well, number one, they're the owner of Google. It is described as a massive American multinational technology conglomerate. It is traded publicly on NASDAQ, which is, stands for the National Association of Online Marketers. It has a market capital value. Now, this is Alphabet. Its market capital value is $4.1 trillion. Let me say that again. $4.1 trillion. This is a huge company. And it has a great sophisticated system internally, which I think will branch out into Michigan City and create a culture of we got to know a lot more about technology. We got to know a lot more about how we're teaching it. And number two in that system is we got to be able to teach people to learn this, have the ability to learn this new system. That comes from the ability to read and the ability to do math. In terms of its voting situation, for anybody that happens to be interested, it has two stocks that are listed on NASDAQ. It has one called Google, G-O-O-G-L. There's also another term for that in a different site, Goog, G-O-O-G. That is a Class A stock. It has voting rights. It also has another one, Goog, which has no voting rights. So you can buy a Class A stock or you can buy a Class C stock. But the key to this whole thing is its market capitalization is at $4.1 trillion, and we're going to be looking at $830 million of that.
I'm looking online, and somebody, Phoenix, which we all talk about,
Yeah.
Phoenix and Michigan City Industrial Investors bought it for $1.25 million, and on 3/13/2026, which is just a few days ago, Lavender Fields Holdings LLC paid them $57 million. They bought it for $1.25 million. They sold it for $57 million. Good for them. So Google, I was looking on Lavender Fields Holdings LLC. This is all information available on the Fort County Beacon. They tell you the transfer, the owner name. You can go online. You can look up Lavender Fields Holdings LLC. I presume that's some sort of division of Google. And maybe that's their holding company they're calling their new name. And that was just opened up. So they paid $57 million. I'm sure Phoenix, Michigan City investors put money into the site. But since they have it brought up to speed or approved, they made, I don't know, $56 million, $55 million. Not a bad transfer.
Let me make one more point about this. What he's really saying is this is the ability to develop that site.
Yep.
It goes from top point to point to point. Once that site is fully developed and in operation, it will be valued at somewhere around $830
It'd be $1
million.
billion. So 57 million was a pretty good deal for Google to buy it because they think it'll be worth $1 billion.
But that's what they're going to have to put into it, yeah.
Yeah.
Bob, is Google one of the top 10 highest tech stocks in the?
Well, it probably is, but you want to go by the ownership, and that's Alphabet. Alphabet owns
Okay.
more than just Google. It
Okay.
also owns a number of other technology companies which aren't even part of Google. So when you put the whole thing together, they're worth 4.1.
Okay, the reason why I said that, I own Alphabet and I own Google in my top 10.
That's fine, yeah, well, that's what it's, that's
Gee
what,
whiz.
you can
I'm taking a
Hey,
new attitude.
guess what? If that's the case, he can pay to clean the ditches out on the west side, because he's made enough money to do that.
So Alphabet started it in 2014 at $28, and now it's $342.
Yeah.
So that's about a 10 times.
I did
increase in
write
volume.
down that the closing value on April 23rd, which was last night, $338.39.
So your guess is who do you get in now that you could buy for $20 is going to be $340 10 years from now.
Gee whiz.
What are you worried about cleaning? You can pay for the cleaning out of the ditches.
I want to see a better Michigan City for all of us.
Well, I don't disagree with
we've
you.
got residents, 46% live at or below the poverty level. I want to see them have an opportunity to pull themselves up by the bootstraps.
Well, let's talk a little bit about drainage and the drainage board. The city of LaPorte is getting Microsoft, right?
Yeah, well, they're supposedly,
Yeah,
yes.
Microsoft is one of the items of the expansive data center south of town there, and including the annexation. I understand the city of LaPorte in this deal with the Microsoft data center because we're talking about $1 billion.
Yeah,
They're asking for funds to clean the Travis ditch and get it up to speed so it can handle, because it's one of these ditches that's never been cleaned, there's no money, and it's a major outflow to the city of LaPorte and LaPorte County. I don't know if Michigan City has asked Phoenix or Google for $1 million or even $5 million to fix the Kinsel ditch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, it doesn't cost any money to ask.
well, if
And
you can
if they're
get,
doing $1 billion, I would say that, and we see, and congratulations to the mayor, she had a very big fundraiser event, right? And they said it was $150,000, and they said a third of that, so $50,000, if that's what the article's right, she got from the data center, which is good. That's the things the data and technology and development can do for you. And you need to take advantage of those. So those things can be done to take care of the things we need done. And these people are typically, they're fine and they're okay with giving to us. They just want to make sure that we're giving it to something that's going to actually enhance the town and not just fritter away. I mean, you talk about data centers or solar farms. A potential solar developer in LaPorte County, which I'm Hoosier Solar helping out, they gave $100,000 to the 4-Hers. And honestly, they asked me, we would like to give some money to a good cause in LaPorte County. I said, well, it's the 4-Hers. If you're going to put your solar farm in South County, the people you need to support are the 4-Hers. Michigan City, maybe they asked for $1 million or $5 million. We just said it's $1 billion, so maybe $5 million to maybe clean up the White Ditch and clean up the Kinsel Ditch and get this stuff going, because it's free to ask. And they're very helpful because they want to enhance the community they're coming into.
if you get $5 million, then what you ought to be looking at is storm sewers. You can start a good storm sewer project for $5 million.
I hope you get half done or 80% done.
Yeah,
would
instead of worrying about cleaning out this ditch, not that one, cleaning out this ditch, not that one. Put storm sewers in, and we're going to solve the problem. Now, what we have to find out is what is the bonding power of the sanitation department and the city, depending on who would back these bonds. And if they got $5 million, that would be a very nice down payment on cleaning up a lot of the problems on the west side.
Oh, yeah.
That is correct. Everything from Franklin Street west.
So there you go. There's your sanitary district meeting you went to.
Well, I wasn't able to.
Wednesday.
No.
The big meeting.
I was under the impression I'd be on the agenda to make comments, and the city councilman who was to arrange this whole event for me to be there failed to get me on the agenda, so I was unable to speak on the issues that I brought at
No
hand.
public comment?
I was able to speak on public comment, but at public comment, I congratulated the sanitary district for at least starting the ditch effort. I gave them credit, and, you know, I applauded them for that. Now, but before we get too far into issues, if anybody has any communication with the sanitary district, they see a logo. They see a logo. And bottom line is, you know who designed that logo? You know whose business was working with the sanitary district in order to design that logo?
I wouldn't know. It must have been this printer out on the west side.
There was a printer out on the west
That's
side.
west side.
There was a printer out on the west side who created with his employees this specific logo of the Michigan City Sanitary District. And you know what happened?
And how much money do you get for that?
Nothing.
No.
And you know what happened after that logo was created? They took my printing business away from me, and I no longer printed for the sanitary district.
Did you copyright the logo?
Trademark.
No, I didn't. No, because I was providing a service to the sanitary district to have this design.
Well, you could
It's
have
a nice
copyrighted
logo.
it or trademarked it.
They've been using it for 40 years.
Well, maybe I still can copyright it, huh?
Well, if nobody else has, see if somebody's trademarked it or copyrighted it.
Again, it was designed at my shop. Anyway,
How much
I-
would you want for your trademark? 5 million?
no, I don't. No.
To clean the ditches?
That's a misconception. I want to see a better Michigan City for all. That's all. A better
You're
Michigan
going to
City.
see.
And you
with the
did that for them for free.
I did that for them for free, and you know what I got?
You got not on the agenda on Wednesday. You didn't get to talk.
But I'm trying to get on the next agenda to discuss a $40 million issue that needs to be addressed.
Now, let me just carry this a little bit farther, because basically what's going to happen is you're going to have the money in this city that we haven't had since Haskell and Barker. And that's a long time ago.
Coleman, Haskell.
Yeah, well, that's not even when Coleman was here. It was back in Haskell and Barker days when we had that kind of money.
And what's that kind of money going to do for us?
It's going to do a lot. Well, he's going to tell you one little thing that's going to happen, but I'm going to talk about this coming election with the school board. We're going to have a fall election in November with school board candidates. You want to hear about how are the school board candidates going to handle this money? Are they going to put in programs that will increase the reading capabilities and the math capabilities of students as they go through the third grade? So that basically by the time they're through the third grade, they can read well. That means they can learn well, because it takes the ability to read in order to learn. And they have to be, by the time they're through the third grade, the ability to do that. How are those candidates going to handle this?
Wasn't that designed by the Mississippi program?
Yes, yeah.
The same concept.
Yeah, same concept. Also, in the civil city, what will be their priorities? They've got to start looking now at the kinds of money that they're going to have available, and they got to start talking about what will be the priorities in our civil city situation, along with the school board candidates talking about what will be their priorities if they're elected to the school board. Go
It's
ahead.
easy. That's simple. Pay the teachers. And I can tell you what's going to happen. I can predict the future here. I'm getting really good at this.
Leave it to an engineer to predict the future. So right ahead.
But I can predict the future here because we've seen this many times, not just Michigan City, in every government across the nation. They're going to get a whole bunch of money from these data centers. Michigan City, they
Yeah.
get a whole bunch of money.
Both
School
the
district's going to get a whole bunch of money too.
Both the school system and the civil city.
The
Go ahead.
Michigan City School is going to get a lot of money. And I say, pay the teachers. Real simple. But, predict the future. They're going to say, okay, that's a great idea. Let's pay the teachers. And everyone's going to get behind it. Then that's not going to happen. They're going to take the money, because they have X dollars to pay the teachers, and it's usually the biggest part of the budget, and they're going to say, we are going to take the money from the data center, and we're going to put it to pay the teachers. But what they're not going to tell you is, they're not increasing the pay. They're going to take that money and put it to the teachers, so they can take that money they would pay the teachers into some other project. We've seen this in when we all voted for the lottery and the tickets. We've seen this when you all voted for the gambling. You're seeing it right now in Illinois. And who's the ex-governor of Illinois? He's on there pushing this new deal, which it failed in the House of Illinois, about a millionaire's tax, where they're going to tax millionaires. When you start taxing people like that, they are people of means. They will leave. They will just pick up, uproot, and see you later. But when you do that, what he's not telling you, and they had the same discussion about taking this millionaire's tax and paying for the schools. and paying for people to have lower property taxes. Again, we can predict the future. What they don't tell us is this is a shell game. No matter what you do, this is what happens. They have new money, and they take the new money and they put it into existing accounts, and they say, oh yeah, we took the money, we paid the teachers. But they're not telling you they took the money they were paying the teachers and they moved it to other programs. So Illinois is going to do, it would have done the exact same thing, just like we did with when we voted for the lottery, when we voted for a casino. We didn't increase, because we were all promised these teachers were going to get paid the best in the nation. We would have the greatest teachers in Indiana nationwide. They took the money and they put it into the teacher's budget, and they took what they were spending in the teacher's budget and they threw it to other programs. And we'd seen some of that money in reduction of our license plates. We saw a reduction in our property taxes. So they're not being at all honest with us. And if the school district, again, so they would have to come out and say, listen, we spend $50 million on teachers' pay, whatever the number is, $10 million in teachers' pay in Michigan City schools, and we are going to hold that number with the money we have today, and we're going to get $2 million from the data center, and we're going to increase their money we get paid by $2 million. So these teachers are going to get paid whatever, $75,000, $100,000 a year, and we're going to get the best teachers for the best outcome of our students. But that's not going to happen.
Tony,
I want to go along with Tony, but I want to do it this way. Not only does it need to cover more pay for the teachers, it also needs to cover more learning for the teachers.
Well, like summer pay, extra summer pay. Yeah,
Well,
you said that.
Yeah. In addition to that, they need to look at reading is a science. There are reading science classes out there that we need to have those teachers who are in kindergarten through 6th grade go to. This will pay for them, the tuitions to do this. You can do this in seminars, you can do it in undergraduate classes, you can do it in graduate classes. But if you're going to teach in grade school, you need to go to those classes and find out. We need to pay them for that.
Yep.
But there's also other things that go along with that we need to provide the money for. That absolutely has to happen. And then we've got to see increases in the scores.
Are you implying that a concept of taking a new attitude might be commensurate with the school board position? Are you implying that?
I guess I'm saying keep an old attitude.
You want to maintain the old?
No, that's what's
status
going to
quo?
happen. That's what's going to happen.
Oh, well, maybe you need a change in the school board.
Maybe.
Like Bob was saying.
That's what I'm talking about, yes.
But I thought you were going to sign up for school board.
Not yet.
Anyways.
No.
When is the last day to sign up for school board?
I don't know, we have to find
We'll
out.
have to find that out. So anyone interested, we'll tell you the last day.
We got to get through the primary.
It's got to be somewhere, probably June.
June or July.
Probably June. There's a day, the last day you can sign up for school board, and we consider people, be very happy and honored if people sign up for the school board, knowing that they are about to get a big chunk of money. And I would hope the majority, if not the complete and utter unanimous vote for the school board would be to say, listen, we have $10 million in school pay right now for teachers. We get an extra $2 million. We're putting that all into teachers' pay. So take the number of teachers divided by 2 million and everyone's getting a raise. Because South Bend School District just did that, and they've got good teachers staying and teaching, learning new things and implementing new things. I don't think you should chase scores. I think scores come with good teachers and new programs.
The other big thing that South Bend has going for it is that they've got so many colleges like Notre Dame, St. Mary's, Holy Cross, IU South Bend, and a number of others that have people pushing because they want their kids to have good teachers.
And so,
we've got to get more of that also.
The one thing Dave was saying is that, Dave and Bob were saying, what's coming up good for us? What's coming from Michigan City? Or NIPSCO ratepayers? Well, the article was, Google's buying the Phoenix Investors Royal $800 million site, and they are going to lower the residential bills up to $115 a year, so that's about $10 a month. And in the words of a previous engineer at the sanitary district, that's like one pizza a month. They remember they're going to raise the rates. They said they're going to raise everyone's rates $10 a month, and that's about one pizza. I laugh because in our world, maybe not in everyone's world, but in our world, Totino's pizzas were like $1 or $2, so that was like 5 pizzas a month.
Yeah.
Because we don't get to get a $10 pizza. Not that you can buy a $10 pizza anymore, but pizzas, the Totino's pizzas used to cost $1, right? Or a Jack's pizza used to cost $2.
Yeah, Jack's Pizza now is $3.69.
Yeah. We raise, but that's a good thing. NIPSCO is going to lower, just like the INM and AEP
Yeah.
with the Google, data center in Fort Wayne was going to lower. They are actually going to the IURC and asking to lower their rates. So kudos to Michigan City, kudos to NIPSCO. They're actually lowering our rates. I just looked at a gas bill today for NIPSCO for work, and I see I pay $70 just to have the ability for them to give me gas. $70 a month, just so
All
they
the
can.
transportation fees.
No,
and
just
so-
the first fee is $70, just so they will supply me with gas, whatever I have to pay the gas fee. But I have $69.72 on my office bill, just
to come on your property to put a meter in?
just so NIPSCO can give me gas every month. That's $70 a month. That's what, $780 a year. It's almost $1,000 a year. Not that I'm using any gas, but just that I have the ability to get gas from NIPSCO. I don't know. It's a good thing though. NIPSCO's lowering bills. Could we get more? Maybe $20 a month?
Well,
$30 a month?
Depending on NIPSCO's usage in terms of supplying those facilities. The answer to that question is, yeah, I think we're going to get more than that when these facilities are up to full speed. Now, that may take a year or two, but once they get up to full speed, I think you're going to see more than that.
And here, the last paragraph, if you don't get the Northwest Indiana Times, I don't have the date. Oh, yes, I do have the date. Joseph Pete, April 18, 2026. The last paragraph is the Utility Regulatory Commission still has to approve the deal and rate. Citizens Action Coalition Program Director Ben Inskeep described it as a secret contract with Google's Michigan City data center in Indiana to provide it with a secret amount of power at a secret price. So that's true. They go to Genco, which is a subsidiary of NIPSCO. We don't get to see that contract. We don't get to see what that is, but supposedly we're going to get $115 less. My one item here is, could the state legislature change the rules that if a utility company wants to lower the rates, all they have to do is file it and it's approved. There's no going to the IURC and whatever months it takes or public meetings or public inputs. If they want to lower our rates, they should just be able to file the paperwork and approve it. And I say this because the EPA, and everyone's aware of the California fires ahead, right?
Yeah.
Those people were bound by California law to get approval from the EPA to make sure their site was acceptable to rebuild their homes. Can you imagine? California makes them go to the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. Donald Trump released the rules and says, listen, as long as the professionals say that their site is not contaminated and it's okay, and they submit that to the EPA, they have the right, here's the key, the right to self-certify. Once the professionals say it's good, the EPA says it's good. It's all up to California to release their building permits. And their building permits have what? Quadrupled in the last month since that's happened?
Yeah.
So again, why can't the IURC self-certify that if a utility company comes to us and says, we want to lower the rates, they say, all right, you filled out the paperwork, you certify it's correct, good to go.
But I'm going to go you one better, because the state, with all of these new data centers and that type of thing coming in, I'd like to see them take the sales tax off of the absolute necessary utilities: heat, light, water, and sanitation. Now, we can argue about the phone bills and this type of thing, but if you're going to exist, you got to have heat, you got to have light, you got to have water, and you got to have sanitation. And I'd like to see them take the sales tax off.
You made a comment earlier pertaining to this increase of money coming into Michigan City, how it would enhance the property values of the city of Michigan City. What impact would that money have on residential people outside of utilities and so on?
Oh, well, the impact...
Talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, the impact that it's going to have is it's going to pick up a lot of the dollars that we would have to possibly increase property taxes in order to provide for the civil city. In other words, if we need...
So the base would stay the same, basically.
Pardon?
The base would stay the same.
The base probably would stay the same, but you're not going to see the kinds of increases. You might actually see a small decrease in the base. And in the school system, we're losing students. So hopefully with this and with some special programs, and we need to start to get down to the people who are coming in that have been on welfare for quite a while, their family's been on welfare, We need to start working with these people, and I know they are doing some things in that area, but it's along the lines of socialization, which needs to happen. Teaching these kids how to get along with people and that type of thing. But we also got to teach them how to do math and how to read. And that's the next step. And that money needs to go for that, and also for upper level math classes, so that people in the middle class can have their kids go up and take calculus classes and this type of thing.
Because a while back, a couple shows ago, you said you were going to bring in the Mississippi Plan. Have you?
I've got it. I wasn't going to do it today because
Okay.
we were talking, but I've got it, yes.
And you ask about the need for students to learn math. I did a calculation. I wanted to know how many gallons were in this private sewer lift station, and I could calculate regular math. You know, the circumference of a circle, the area of a circle, pi r squared, the depth of it, and the gallons in a cubic foot of water. And I did those calculations, and I thought, well, let's double check it. Let's go to the internet. Let's ask AI. AI gave me the wrong number. I went to another interface that had a program that you can go online and plug in the same number of the variables, and it gave me the right answer. So I did my calculation right. The engineering tips calculator gave me the right number. AI gave me a wrong number. That's why the students need to be on board with learning basic math and reading skills, because you can go to AI, and I would say that AI is 80% correct, but would I want to be wrong 20% of the time in calculating the gallons in a pump station for a sanitary lift station? It would not work. It would fail.
But I did notice when I utilized AI, there is a blue disclaimer on the bottom, talking about they're not 100% accurate.
But you look at things in AI, and you could ask it some detailed, in-depth questions. I'm asking for a simple, how many gallons of water in 2 feet of a 30-inch circumference barrel? It got it wrong by a lot. This is not hard calculations. It's pretty simple math. Again, we, the students, need to be ready with some basic skills in math and reading, knowing technology is coming, and you better make sure that it's giving you the right number. Even if you got the disclaimer, you better make sure that that number is right, or just running off wild with a number or a concept that's completely wrong. And again, this money needs to go to the teachers. I think the best teachers will give you the best students' results and give your return on investment in Michigan City. People want to live here. They want their kids to come here. The kids hopefully want to stay and work here in the technology world we have. And we'll have a better community that will pay greater tax revenue instead of seeking other things like, and I think we have the advantage on South Bend. I always think Michigan City's got the advantage. I wouldn't be here if Michigan City didn't have the advantage called the beach. No one has that. We have protected and saved our beach, and we have that.
Yeah.
I would also like to maybe see the school city implement a program in teaching comprehensive skills, learning how to think.
Yeah. Oh, I agree 100%.
That's part of the science of reading.
True. I mean, but a specific course.
That course should be in 5th grade. I took a course like that in college. I wish they would have took a course in 5th grade. And everything on learning how to learn.
Yeah.
How to take a test. How to prepare yourself. Flashcards, index cards, what you need to read, reading the by notes, how you set your time up, how you schedule your time.
Take a new attitude.
By the way,
They need to teach them that.
flashcards are part of the Mississippi plan
Yes.
in later grades. They work.
The first thing, and I believe maybe 4th grade, maybe 3rd grade, teach them how to learn. I mean, people think that it's a given. It's not. Students don't know how to learn.
You read to learn.
Well, you got to read. You got to learn to read. Then you could learn
kindergarten
Yeah.
through 3rd grade.
Yes,
learn to read.
and math, basic math,
Right.
all the way up to multiplication.
Then from
4th grade
on
should be how do you learn?
You read to learn. Yes.
How do you read to learn? And see, I think we all forget. How do you read to learn? Teach somebody how to.
How do you read to learn as well as retain?
And that helps you retain. And what
correct.
you need to retain. You don't need to retain everything in this article.
No.
You probably need to retain 5%. 5% of the salient features. What's important? That class needs to be taught in 4th or 5th grade and probably retaught in freshman year of high school as you're getting to advanced topics and advanced testing. I would say 90% of the people are never taught how to learn or never truly understand how to learn. They just, here it is, regurgitate this out, here's your grade, see you later, go away.
Yeah.
And we don't have that. And I think maybe the Mississippi plan, the science of learning is what we need.
Well,
It sounds crazy.
It's a science of reading.
Science of reading. It's crazy, but we need that. And I think we would advance faster than anyone. The parents were like, oh, they have those learning centers, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they teach them, how to learn. And it's just everyone around the country would be like, why is Michigan City turning out such good people? Because they know how to learn. And people would scratch their heads and think, you have to teach somebody how to learn? That sounds crazy. You do.
The other point, and I'm really not up on this one. I know it's out there, and I learned it because I heard the assistant athletic director talk about it. But apparently, in the state of Indiana, you now can go to any school that you want to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If they have the availability.
Yeah.
Out of district.
Yeah.
If the district's full, you can. And New Prairie District's getting full. You can't really go over there.
But I guess one of the big problems LaPorte school system is having is so many people are transferring to the New Prairie school district.
New Prairie and South Central.
Yeah.
Okay.
South Central's doing great. I know people are driving their kids to South Central, driving their kids. I think there's buses coming out of Michigan City to Westville.
Well, the other thing that's happening is, oh, Dave's going to love this one. They're going for athletics. Because if you're good in a sport, where do you want to go? You want to go to a school that is known for that sport. Because that's where the recruiters go from the colleges.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result of that, let's say you're a girl, but you can play softball. What are you looking for? You're looking for schools that have a good girls softball
Established program.
Yeah.
Right.
If you can play football, you're looking for a school that has a well-established football program. If you can play volleyball, where do you want to go? Marquette.
Yeah.
A great established volleyball
They've been
program.
doing that for 15 years.
Yeah.
They decided to focus on volleyball, and the scouts come to Marquette,
Yeah.
and the scholarships go to Marquette.
But my question now is, La Lumiere, which could never play in the state basketball tournament before because they recruited out of area, is La Lumiere going to be allowed to play in the state tournament?
No, they're recruiting the best of the nation.
Oh, they go clear all over the nation.
In the international, they got the
Yeah.
best players. Now, La Lumiere was a really good scholastic school and decided to focus on basketball. Now they're tops in the nation.
Yeah.
And there was an article, I forget what community in Illinois, who just opened up their athletic complex, and they had an overhead view of it. It was massive. And I've said this before, you just talked about it. You're going to want to look at athletics. There's these students, have a lot of money available and scholarships to them in athletics. Michigan City, so there's the school board. Michigan City is going to have to start thinking, how do we create an athletic complex that helps these students come in and achieve the heights of their athletic skills and get scholarships and lifetime contracts and name, image, license contracts and scouts that come here. Because right now, here we go, take a new attitude. What did Michigan City do? And I think it was probably the right decision. They rehabbed Ames Field.
Yeah.
Would that have been wiser to build a whole new stadium out there at Paz and then expand on that whole athletic complex? Because there's land available at Paz. There's not land available at Elston anymore. There's not, and Elston, right?
Yeah.
You probably, when
Well,
Elston first came about, they had plenty of room for expansion. They have tennis courts, they have football fields, they had a lot of expansion, but now it's tightened up.
Yeah, look at the Maryville complex.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Maryville complex stretches
Oh,
from
yeah.
end to end
Oh,
and
yeah.
above and beyond.
Well, the problem, though, that happened was actually they built a great basketball complex out at that high school because Michigan City for years.
Oh yeah, we did. Biggest gym.
Yeah, Michigan City for years had fantastic basketball teams at Elston and then at Rogers.
They're one of the top 5
Oh, yeah.
complexes.
Easily.
Yeah.
Now, what happened was that whole culture went differently. It lost the background of how we were getting these students in. They came out of basically 2 areas. They came out of what in Michigan City was known as the Patch. When you go down and see that Charles R. Westcott playground, he taught those kids to play basketball.
Sure did.
Yeah, and they
That was their way
started
out of the
second.
Patch.
Yeah, and we had a mayor in about 1947 or 48 that said, look, this is the Parks and Recreation Department, anybody that wants to put up a basketball rim, net, and backboard on their property. We'll come out and put it on your garage, or we'll put it out on a big stake in the ground, 10 feet high, and they did. I had one, so did a lot of others. And you learn to play basketball that way. We had an individual, now his name is Wardine, who had his basketball complex on his garage, and he lighted that court for us kids in the neighborhood to come down and play basketball on. We played from the time we were in the 3rd grade, and we could play by the time we got there. So those coaches at Elston had a lot to choose from. The unfortunate thing for me was I was always about 7th or 8th no matter what, and so as a consequence. But the thing I could really do, because we didn't have a car until I was 11 years old, I learned to ride a bicycle, and I could ride a bike. And when I got to IU and found out they had a little 500, oh man, I got rushed by a number of fraternities and became a bike rider. And you have to find what you can do.
What you're good at.
Yeah.
Yes.
In my era, again, when they chose up sides, they took this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. There was one guy left, and that was me.
That was me.
That was,
I wasn't tall enough.
I wasn't. Yeah, I
Wasn't athletic.
I wasn't. No.
But if Michigan City decides, A, again, pay the teachers. B, you better start thinking about an athletic complex. Everything from Paz Road to 94, and maybe even buying some of that ground between 20 and Paz, and create an athletic complex that will get scouts to come here and see the talent in Michigan
But
City.
if we don't stress academics and coming up,
Well, that's the other thing. With the athletics that you're talking about, you also need to stress knowledge and the kinds of things that you will allow your teachers to do. And we've got an excellent teacher, I guess, at Barker Junior High School, science, that does all sorts of fantastic things in terms of those classes in science. But we need to make sure that that goes all the way up through the high school.
And if we're looking at data centers, which Michigan City has, what, 800 million? Again, I would ask them for $5 million for help for stormwater or infrastructure, but you probably need to ask them to set up a training center, and I don't mean AK Smith, I mean a brand new one, somewhere around Michigan City's high school that gets them into data and robotics and technical ability of things in the future with AI running, manufacturing. Those are the students that are going to be, every business is going to look for those people with the skills. And you could bring in the union people to help you, knowing they know their future is in AI and robotics. And when we talk about robotics, everyone thinks, oh, we're going to have robots. But you know what? Somebody's got to fix all those robots. Somebody's got to troubleshoot all those robots. And that means we, as Michigan City, should have the data centers help us to create those facilities. And I think beyond sports, that's where the big impetus is going to be.
I have a grandson in Knapp School. He'll be going into Barker. And on an occasional basis, I ask him, because they do have 3D printers at the elementary level. And I says, Joey, I said, have you had an opportunity to work on the 3D printers yet? And he says, no. And I said, why not? He said, this is what he told me. He said, they don't have qualified people to instruct on the 3D printer.
My daughter has a 3D printer, and I would advise you to buy him a 3D printer. They're about $300-400. Buy him one. She has taught herself. She's running this printer now, making stuff, and she's been running it for 2 weeks straight. It's really cool to watch a 3D printer run. It's not like you print out a piece of paper. It takes hours and hours and hours to run, to build something on a 3D printer. It's really cool to watch. They're not expensive. I'm sure you could find $300 or $400 to buy him a 3D printer. You buy these plastic spools, and that's something, like you just said, with basketball, that's something Michigan City or somebody needs to get into, that these students that you think have the ability or the desire to get in something like that, we should be buying them 3D printers at their house. You plug them in, they program them. You can either learn to program them, or you can download all kinds of little things you want to build. You put it on a card. Some of these are Bluetooth now. If you load it in your 3D printer, there's a little mechanical thing about learning how to load the printer and learning how to load the iron that melts the plastic. But once you get that all set up, there's some learning. These students should be hands-on these 3D printers at a minimum. And they need to be, it's hard to do at school. I know some schools let you do it. New Prairie did this. They let you start the 3D printer, and they would run it all night. You come back the next day, and it might be done. It might be done. It might take more than 12 hours. But if these students had these at their homes,
And we've got Kevin McGuire with the school system who implemented this concept of technology.
I think he would
But yet
love
there's not
3D
enough
printing.
revenue for.
There will be when this comes in, but now I've got one that you're gonna love.
Oh,
If we go after storm sewers for the west side, maybe we can get some grants. Maybe, we might be able to raise $5 million, $6 million.
easy.
But how about raising another 5 or 6 million from the redevelopment corporation?
oh,
I
definitely.
knew you'd love that.
Oh,
one.
definitely. Again, because the intent of the redevelopment commission is if an area had cessation of growth, and if they could show cessation of growth, they can invest.
Yeah,
They can invest. They got only 15 million in the bank right now that just sort of draw on interest, but there's a possibility that.
that would pay for a lot of storm sewer.
I'm not saying you totally changed my mind yet, Bob, but you
Just remember, that would pay-
you open up a pupil.
That would pay for a lot of storm sewer.
You opened up a pupil.
And Tony would be the engineer. I could see him filling
I
out
said,
the
yeah,
form
you guys
now.
let, we'd design it for you, but they'll let me do it because I'm not good enough for, I'm not a big enough firm or not a national state firm. So hence I'm not even asked to even look at a project. But anyways, you look at the cost, and I believe St. John just put a bid out for a big project, and the winner of the project came under even the engineer's estimate, and they gave it to them right away. So maybe the cost is coming down.
Yeah.
Maybe we can afford to do a storm sewer project. I still agree with Dave. At a minimum, we need to clean the trees out and clean the ditches, and then look
I
at
don't disagree with
and
that.
paying for the design for a storm sewer system and getting that up and running.
At least initiate a plan.
Well, I
Yes.
don't want to be doing ditch cleaning for the next 10 years at $500,000 a year when we could put $5 million into a storm sewer and solve the whole damn
Well,
problem.
what's the interest on $5 million at 7%?
Well, no, it's going to be less than that for our government. Because you're going
5%.
to issue, yeah, you're going to issue,
What's the interest on 5% of $5 million?
well, it'd be $250,000.
But that particular concept,
Yeah.
Well, that's the deal then.
your particular concept
I don't
would
like spending
dewater the area, such as the Market Mall area. Tony knows about the water table there that he's
The whole
conveyed
west
to me.
side's got a
Good
high
storm
The whole
sewers
west
in.
side, the water would disappear,
It-
and the buildable land would become more and more
The
buildable.
ease to build on that land,
Yeah.
because when you have wet soil, you have to put pilings in for strength for the building. If you don't have water in the soil, your pilings get smaller and your foundations
And you
get smaller.
don't have to go under railroad right-of-ways. I'm serious. That's a huge
But
problem.
Bob, you got to
He
understand.
hasn't seen the map yet, has he?
I had
Bring
to
it to
break
the
down
map.
this concept to break it down to the intellectual level of the individuals that I'm talking to get this job done.
Where do you talk to
I
a
sh-
railroad lawyer?
I showed Dave the map, the secret map, right?
Oh,
The big secret map.
they wouldn't even allow me to present it.
The big secret map shows you, we got 10 minutes. The big secret map shows you that over the years, like you said, we don't have a plan. It would show you that at different places along the ditch, the culverts are too high because they're stealing the slope at their culverts. And like when Nick, and you helped Nick B,
Yeah.
if they actually would have lowered their culvert,
Well, they did.
well, even more. Another, what do we think,
Yeah.
4 feet?
Yeah.
If they would have lowered another 4 feet, but they didn't know. They didn't know Michigan City didn't have a plan to tell them. When they came to Michigan City, says, we're going to lower the culvert.
Because
Well, where do you want it?
I did bring this concept to Mike Nolan, and he then took it to the engineers, and they did.
Yeah, as best as they knew.
the best.
But
that
if
they-
Michigan City had a straight line from Lake Michigan, and it takes curvature, all the way up to Ohio, and you had the total slope that was even, we wouldn't have these culverts they're stealing slope from other parts in the ditch.
Let me,
So-
let me, again, I attended the sanitary district board meeting, and Mike Wallace produced a video presentation pertaining to issues.
Al
that-
Wallace?
I'm sorry, Al Wallace.
Al Wallace.
He presented a presentation to the board for transparency purposes, and he talked about there was 15 or 17 original sites to build Strebel Pond on. Then
Oh, really?
Yes. And then they reduced those 15 to 17 sites down to 10. Then they reduced it down to the last 5. And they had a process set up to determine where they're going to build
Where were the last 5?
Well,
He didn't tell you?
yeah, he mentioned he showed little bitty boxes, but he didn't go into specific detail. So they got it down to 5, and then somebody decided, Andy, you've got it on tape. If you want, watch Elko. But then somebody decided that the Strebel Pond site was the most efficient site to build to alleviate get the people off of the federal flood insurance program. There were 17 sites, and they chose to build a pond on top of a hill that's 68 foot higher than the level of Lake Michigan.
Was the site they built the highest site?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have.
That's your sanitary district for you.
Okay, wait. How much did it cost to decide on getting this down? Who did they pay and how much did they pay? Because we know it's a no-brainer. You stick it over there north of the CS tracks that the city already owns, where there's probably some environmental cleanup, and that is the spot you should do it.
Well, Strebel Pond, I think, was built about 20 years ago, and during that time, the Michigan City Sanitary District received from LaPorte County $40,788,833.53.
I thought Strebel Pond cost $22 million.
Well, I'm just saying there was a source of revenue coming in. There was a source of revenue coming in that may have been diverted for other means.
Yeah, that's what it would.
I don't know.
Not that site, but that would be where we want them to spend the money on the west side, not $22 million on that.
Well,
side.
they did on top of the hill.
Well, now wait a minute. I got 2 points. Number one, how did they miss the environmental damage that was already there? So you
don't
can't.
want to know because that sand. I can tell you that sand did not leave Michigan City.
Okay.
We know where that sand is.
All right. Well, this is still an environmental problem. Now,
I
the
hope
next
not.
thing, if they built it on the highest level, I would think that would mean that they could dig it a lot deeper that would hold more volume of water.
But
Now, why the hell?
Well, I was there.
How much did it cost to dig deeper?
No,
I don't
wait,
know.
hold it. I was there during the construction because I was in opposition, but I watched when they brought in the bulldozers and they hit a level of muck. They hit a level, they got down so far they couldn't go down any further because they ended that whole bottom of Strebel Pond is
like a peat bog?
muck.
Yeah, like peat
muck.
bog,
It's
yeah.
not peat. It is tar. It is oils. It is.
Where in the heck did that come from?
Well, that's why they only went down so far to dredge Strebel Pond because from when they had the bulldozers in there,
This is muck and not clay.
and it's not clay. No, it's muck. I'll bring next time I go out go out to Hitchcock Street. I'll bring a jar of that muck and I'll let you see
Really?
it.
Yeah, I'd
I'd like to see this.
Really?
Because
Yeah,
that's
homework.
different than on the east side where we have clay pit.
No, it wasn't clay. It was muck. Literally, when we were kids, we could stick your hand in that muck and it go through your fingers. The black tar pollutants.
Then you threw it at one
Well,
of
it
your
sounds
buddies.
like peat bog.
No.
Does it burn?
Residue in my mind. It was
Yeah,
a residue
peat
from
would
a,
burn.
Yeah, peat would burn.
It was residue from one of the biggest environmental protection agency sites here in Michigan City that nobody knows about.
Huh?
Really?
Okay.
Behind that factory.
Behind that factory. You know, like if you take a can of oil and dump a can of oil and that's been utilized in your vehicle, you see how black it is? That's the substance that is the base of Strebel Pond.
No.
Looking at soil types, you can look at the soil type. Go to Beacon, there's a thing and click on soil types. You can see both soil types. So it says like MX and BA, so those are muck. MX is like really bad, nasty soil.
I would say really bad, nasty soil.
So that's what you get, and that's probably blocking it. But anyways, if they built it on the highest spot, I don't know why that was a consideration. Why
It was
there?
one of the 17 considerations.
Did we do soil borings?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
How the hell did we not find this out?
Because Councilman Phil Jankowski, right? He was
Yeah,
great.
he was
lived
opposed-
out there.
good
he
guy.
was opposed to it.
By the way, he was one of our panelists
and he was
on News and News for years.
Yeah.
and he was an accountant.
Yeah.
And he would calculate what $22 million would do for these people without Strebel Pond, and he was right. It was far better to give them the $22 million was to dig the pond. But that didn't happen, and he's not, I guess he had enough of counsel and he left because he's a great
See
guy.
if you can find out what engineers did the soil borings, if they actually had soil borings.
The engine,
I think you know who the engineer
We
was.
know who the engineer was, and we know who was an employee of the engineer.
After he left.
And
All
we
right.
know who was the superintendent of the Michigan City Sanitary District,
right,
who
all
was
right.
influential in dredging Strebel Pond, where it is now located. The
right.
facts speak for themselves.
But why didn't you move the pond, like you said, over north of the track at the low point?
We could have had a nice little lake back there.
I've always pitched that. I've pitched that several times. I'm not just talking a lake. I'm talking a lake access and a marina
Yep.
over there north of the tracks where the old Pullman facilities were.
Yep.
And I mean a full-blown 10-foot deep marina.
I'm not here to talk about Strebel Pond. I'm not even interested in Strebel Pond, considering the issue that Bob brought up about potential windfall for the city of Michigan City in the next couple foreseeable
Well,
years.
now technically, it's not a windfall. Windfalls tend to be one time. This is consistent.
Well,
This will
a
be
consistent windfall.
Yeah, okay, consistent.
And Michigan City needs, I'm going to say, $10 million for Michigan Boulevard, and probably, and after that, $10 million for Franklin Street.
Again,
I know where that money's going.
again, take a new attitude concept. Maybe it's working. Maybe it's working, Bob. Maybe if somebody's watching our YouTube channel and sees that there are creative minds in this community that are thinking above, beyond the box.
YouTube channel owned by
Google?
Google?
Alphabet.
Yes.
You're right. Maybe they watch their own. Maybe they watch their own videos.
Yeah.
Maybe they like your video.
Maybe we had some input in this. Who knows?
Now, the money that comes in, any community that grows or any business that grows needs to understand that money's not going to always going to be there. So you need to make yourself resilient. And I can say this because I was down there in Kingsford Heights this week, and that place is booming. Oh my gosh, that place is growing. We did 42 lots last summer. I think they built 30 of them. Just go drive down there. It's a mind-bending. And we talk about a revenue that's coming at 2 minutes. Revenue that's coming in, you got to make sure you're going to spend it wisely and be resilient, because there's going to come a day when Kingsford Heights has to pay for police and fire, and I hope they didn't spend the money all on the growth. They have to make sure they do wise things with their money. So 2 minutes left, couple minutes left, that's all you got.
Well, again, I got 2 minutes and 55 seconds to fill. Closing?
I just want to say, summer's about on top of us.
1 minute.
Take advantage of what we have in Michigan City, the beaches, the golf courses. It's fantastic from the 1st of May through probably, in this day and age, January 3rd, if you take everything into account that Michigan City has to offer. So start now and plan your activities around. You can get brochures from the Visitors Bureau. You can get them in restaurants. Get them out. It'll tell you the various dates and the various things that you can do in Michigan City and LaPorte County. Take advantage of it.
There you go.
By the way, don't forget about Mother's Day, May the 7th.
You got like 30 seconds.
Okay, I did a little research again on the topographical readings pertaining to the ditch that is located north of the CSX tracks. I'm north of the Amtrak tracks. That is under the purview of the Michigan City Sanitary District, where I say that there is a beaver pond. Well,
It's not a beaver pond. You're going to have people out there thinking there's beavers.
water appears, again, unless I'm blind in one eye, water is backed up on the north side of the tracks. That is 30 foot higher than the level of County Line Road. Water runs downhill, except that area ditch needs to be cleaned out. The Sanitary District started their efforts. I want to thank everybody for watching. As to your inputs to, please contact shows, try co-producers Pollock, Bueller, or Hendricks with your comment, or email Sarah Bellum. Direct your ideas for any future shows to Sarah Bellum. We show our program every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. on Channel 99. You may also watch YouTube, navigate news and views for our program. Got a lot to say, but I try to keep my mouth shut. I want to thank everybody for watching. And make it a good day.
If you go out there to trap beavers, remember you have to have a license and you have to do it in season.